Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, dear Kardec Radio friends, and welcome to this beautiful Christmas special program. We are here at Kardec Radio with friends from around the world to talk about Jesus as our friend, the friend in our lives. And we have much to share with you. And joining me today, we have Elsa Rossi and John DeRosa, great friends. Elsa is joining us from London, UK, where she is a Spiritus volunteer there and working with many colleagues from around the world. And our dear friend John DeRosa, who is part of the Spirit Society of Virginia here in the United States. So welcome, Elsa, and welcome, John. And it's a pleasure to have you guys here to talk to us about Jesus.
It's our pleasure.
So do I. Really wonderful. Talk about Jesus, enlighten our soul.
Yes, yes. Jesus has our guiding model, and truly in this day we feel his presence as we are in this Christmas spirit. So before we start, friends, and pass the word to our dear Elsa and John, we would like to introduce this topic. Jesus has the friend. It's so interesting because right now we are at a time where we talk so much about friendship and what is to be a true friend on earth. But when we stop and we think about Jesus, and Jesus has this friend that comes to us, so close to us. We are still enrooted in this image of Jesus in the cross, Jesus suffering. But the beauty of Spiritism is that it brings to us Jesus so close, not the Master on the cross, but the Master who is loving, who is caring, who listens to all of us. So, as we start talking about Jesus as our friend, let us think about what is to be a true friend. What is a true friendship on earth? We are living at a times where people with social media, they say I have X, Y, and Z friends. But is it a true friendship? Something for us to reflect. If we talk about true friendship, we are talking about someone who is always by our side. Not only those friends who are there when everything is going great, when our lives are wonderful, but when we truly need help, when we are going through difficult moments. Then those quote unquote friends disappear. And where do they go? Because that's when we need them most, right? A true friend is someone who is honest, who is loyal, kind, selfless, and humble. So, someone who is not afraid to tell us, point it out, our shortcomings, but in a loving way, who is selfless, who is not in this friendship waiting for anything in return. Because on earth, we still have our hidden agenda and we think, oh, I'm going to be friends with this person because they know that person and I will be connected. But Jesus comes and shows to us that a true friend is someone who is selfless, who is not having that hidden agenda or waiting for anything in return. Someone that is gonna truly be humble by our side. As we see in this beautiful picture, has Jesus always by our side. And a true friend believes in us and encourages us like Jesus do. We know we are not perfect. We still have so much to learn on this planet and in throughout our immortal lives. We still are gonna commit mistakes, but this true friend is gonna be there, is gonna believe in us and say, no, I trust you, you can do it, and I'm here by your side. So they accept us as we are, and they are patient with our evolutionary process. They don't impose themselves. And that's the beauty of Jesus. As we're going to hear from Elsa and John, we read in the spiritual literature how Jesus was loving and kind. He shared the truth, but he never imposed. And he accepted, even with the disciples around him, acknowledging, yes, they are still learning, but that he accepted them as they were. So, an example for all of us that Jesus is not waiting for us to be perfect, he is there by our side. So, Jesus, as we bring Jesus as this true friend, we wanted to go back to this question of the Spirit's book, where Kardec asks the Spirit, the high spirits, what is the perfect standard that God has offered to humankind as a guide and model? And they say in a very short sentence, look at Jesus. And Kardec explains Jesus is the highest standard of moral perfection to which humankind may aspire on earth. God offers him as the most perfect model, and the doctrine he taught is the pure expression of God's law because he was animated by the divine spirit and was the purest being that has ever walked on earth. So in Spiritism, we get to know that Jesus has our guide and model. So we all need someone to look up to, someone to guide our pathway. And here on earth, Jesus was our most perfect model. He was the purest being to ever incarnate on earth. So when we look at Jesus as in this picture on the top of the mountain, we don't remember him as the one who was suffering for us on the cross, but the true guide and model who came to exemplify to us God's law. So, as we are looking for this true friendship, that's no better friend and guide and model as Jesus. And the beauty of Jesus as our eternal friends is that in several books we get to know, but we highlighted here three, especially three of them. The book Good News, which you can read each chapter in the Spiritus magazine. In the past issues of the Spiritus magazine, there's always a chapter of the book Good News or Boa Nova in Portuguese. And you can also listen to the study on Kardec Radio's Facebook and YouTube channel called 30 Days of Good News with the Master. In the book Good News, as well in the book Jesus in the Home, and in the book in Portuguese Roteiro de Jesus or Jesus Roadmap, we have this opportunity to read and study about Jesus' passages, his encounter with the disciples, when he was teaching each and every one of us in the time that he was here on earth. But the beauty that Humberto de Campos and Neil Lúcio brings to us through Chico Xavier, and again, you can also listen to the podcasts of Jesus in the Home and also watch the study 40 Nights with the Promised Consoler on Kardec Radio's Facebook and YouTube channel, where we would see that Jesus not only taught to us, of course, through the spoken words, but his body language. We don't get to know how was Jesus portrayed? How would he look at people where he was sitting with the disciples? And we get to know about this loving and caring master that he Umberto de Campos would say he would look with tender eyes. He would sometimes expressed that he would look with sadness, not with the sadness because he was a gloomy person, but he would look at the disciples and to those who would encounter, knowing that they were still learning, they were not ready yet. So he had this eyes of understanding. So we bring Jesus close to us because we get to know about his body language. Jesus taught to us through unspoken words. There were moments where in the Jesus in the Home book, we get to know that he will get closer to Simon Peter and he would caress him in the head. So Jesus has this friend who really comes closer. He is truly taking care of us. He is caressing our heads. He's looking us with tender eyes. And he also spoke through silence. It's so interesting, silence, because nowadays, silence, if you are in business meetings and there are moments of silence, people start feeling unsettled. Oh no, how come? But Jesus comes and he teaches us that there's a lot that silence can also teach us. So he wasn't someone who was quickly reacting to the situation. He will give it time. He will let those silent moments come in for reflection, for us to reflect. And then he will bring his teachings for us. He would. In the book, Jesus is in the home. And we get to know that a lot of times the disciples were talking among themselves and they were, discussing just different topics. And Jesus was there. He was sitting with them. But he was silent. He was listening. He was not quickly jump in and say, "Oh no, but hold on." He waited for them to ask for him to come and say. So, teaching us that silence is also very powerful. And he taught us how to be loving but firm. Jesus is this true balance model. He would tell us the truth. He would be firm, but he would be also caring and loving. So, something for us, much for us to learn with Jesus. And we encourage everyone to go through these books, to listen, to get to know about this master. And as he was humble and selfless, as we talked at the beginning, a true friend for all of us. And we want to end this introduction by sharing a poem, beautiful poem by Casemiro Cunha through Chico Xavier, in a book that is not yet in English, in Portuguese, titled Cartas do Evangelho e Outros Poemas, where he says, "Many times on earth, you just find the futile friend that awaits you on the path with the dagger of ingratitude. But it's just that you never look to the tender and faithful friend that would still the bitterness of your moments of resentment. You can have this friend in the depths of your heart, on the altar of your belief and faith, in the light of meditation. It is Jesus. Always remember that the Master will welcome you. If the earthly friends fails, Jesus never fails." Yes, Jesus never fails, as Casemiro Cunha brings to us. He will come and truly be this true friend that we talked at the beginning. He will walk by our side. He will guide our pathway. And there's so much more, friends, for us to learn. So that's why we're going to invite our friend Elsa Rossi to come and tell us more, because she's going to bring a beautiful passage from the book good news to share even more with us, right, Elsa? Oh, we just, there we go.
Yes, I was saying that thank you so much, dear Daisy. Thank you for Kardec Radio to produce this wonderful event for Christmas Day that enlighten our souls every time that we listen about Jesus. And I brought you today, Daisy, a passage, the chapter 12 of the book Goodwill, that you translate in the United States is so beautiful. Humberto de Campos, the Spirit, and Chico Xavier, the Medium. And the chapter called title Love and Renunciation. And I hope to share with you and see if you really like. But before going and starting my slides, I would like to share with you something very important. The distance in Jesus' time, so all the apostles, they used to walk between one village to another village, preaching the gospel, preaching everything that Jesus was teaching over to other people. And the distance, sometimes a long distance. And this passage will talk about the wedding in Cana. And distance between Cana and Capernaum as today is 39 kilometers, and driving today is only 35 minutes. But in Jesus' time, walking 7 hours. I presume that time they can have a shortcut, perhaps for 5 hours. And this beautiful, enlightening message starts like that. The shroud of the night fell softly on the landscape of Capernaum. So Jesus was returning to Peter's house in his company after they were to the wedding. Jesus' friends, they have got married, and he was very nice friend for the family, and he was walking with Peter, and Peter was, of course, pensative, não é? Então, it starts like that. After one of the greatest popular gatherings at the lake, Jesus returned to Peter's house in his very company. Through his divine word, Jesus has offered him luminous clarifications upon the commandment of Moses. Simon, however, was pensive, as if he remained doubtful within his heart. Kindly queried by the master, the apostle clarified. In the light of your teachings, Lord, how should we interpret your first manifestation, turning water into wine at the wedding at Cana? In the light of teachings, Lord, how should we interpret your first manifestation? Okay. And was it not a worldly party? Wouldn't heavy wine have led to the promotion of drunkenness and gluttony? In this moment, Simon Peter was judging before understanding that Jesus only did and show examples how we in the future and also the apostles should act on behalf of his teachings. So Jesus understood the scope of his inquiry, smiled, and said, Simon, do you know the joy of serving a friend? Peter did not answer. Then the master continued. The wedding at Cana was a symbol of our union on the earth. It's the first gathering, miracle gathering, that Jesus showed his power to transform water in wine. There, the wine was the joy with which I wish to seal the existence of the kingdom of God within the heart. So Jesus, in that moment, embraced the earth under his heart, showing to these apostles and let to us this beautiful message that guiding us in our days, not judge. Before anything, please, we should not judge other person's actions or intentions before really know what's going on. I am with my friends and I love them all, Jesus replied. The affections of the soul, Simon, are mysterious ties that lead us to God. Let us sanctify our affection, providing our friends with maximum joy. May our hearts be a bright room where they feel tranquil and blissful. Let us always have new joys that comfort them, not just one time. We should do our best to please our friends, the ones that we love so much, not to judge them, but try to help them as much as we can. If someone is unemployed in your family and you help you once, twice, and you say, no, he is not having a job, perhaps he is using my money for another thing, etc. You are doing wrong, I am doing wrong. So we try to, the, the most that we can, to bless this person, to help this person, because it's so difficult to be judged. Let us never contaminate the source of their sympathy with the shadow of a grief. The most beautiful hours of life are the ones that we employ in loving them, our friends, and enriching their innermost satisfaction. Doing that, Jesus was showing to us the way that we can exchange our energies. His energies were so powerful, so beautiful. So he was showing us. So we must understand. In my comments about that, when he did this beautiful transformation, the water into wine, and he says, I am with my friends and I love them all, showing us that he will be forever between us, with us, and love us forever. Then all means ourselves, our planet, and humanity. So Jesus, his mother, and Jesus' disciples were at the guests at the wedding. The wedding. The feast was a big part of the wedding customs. That time, the wedding feast, sometimes the duration was 1 week, and the organizers should provide wine, that was just cultural and tradition, providing wine and food for everyone every day, and their friend was lack out of wine, and Jesus provided the wine for them. Today, this distance that Jesus was giving for them walk to the Canaan was, as I said, 39 kilometers, or 7 hours took him to go there, because their beloved ones were there. His mother was there, and his mother asked Jesus, please, our beautiful friends are without wine. And Jesus attended his mother, her wishes, and gave this beautiful lesson for us, providing wine for everyone without judging. But people can say, as Peter, the gluttony or drunkenness or the things that comes towards this your action, master. This judgment is not good, because he didn't know exactly the mind what Jesus was doing, and his information showing the way to do to please brothers and sisters, to please friends, to please family, and not judging there, is the way that we should not judge. Even today, there are friends that says to me, "Oh, we can have a wine for dinner." I'm not a drink. I don't drink wine at all. I don't drink alcohol at all. But there are friends they drink once or twice. We never judge. Oh, he's a spiritist. Is a drinking alcohol. Not like that, my friends, because it's so terrible when we see things in the other people's eyes. We are not to see in our own eyes. So, showing, however, some discomfort caused by those counsels, Simon Peter is still questioning the master with a certain shyness. And how should we proceed when friends do not understand us, or when they repay us with ingratitude? And Jesus placed a lucid gaze on him and responded, Peter, true and sincere love never expects rewards. The act of giving is the essence of its life. The ability to feel great affection is already a treasure in itself. Charity of understanding, charity of life is my word for this passage of this beautiful message. The understanding of a friend should be the greatest reward for us. However, when the light of understanding is postponed in the spirit of those we love, we must remember that we have the sacred understanding of God that He knows our purest resolutions. God, as I say here, God, there is no expect us to be quickly and in higher speed to be perfect. No, we take ages, millennia, but God knows one day we will be perfect. Okay, but not in a rush. We have each one of us. We have our own time to understand Jesus, to follow Him, and to do our best to really be a good person as we see in the gospel. Even now, if all of our friends in the world were converted one day into our adversaries, or even into our tormentors, they could never deprive us of the infinite joy of having given them something, our love, our attention, our understanding. No one around us, even the ones that can torment us, one day, the conscience will bring to them conscience, their mind, the good things that we have done to the past for them. So the wine at Cana might one day become the vinegar of bitterness, yet I will feel nonetheless joy for having drunk it in dedication to those who came to me to seek the love of the Almighty. Before the comforting and friendly arguments of the Master, Simon Peter dissipated his ultimate doubts as the night crept over the surroundings, hiding everything in its all-encompassing array of shadows. If something happens in our life, we are doing our best to everyone. If someone doesn't like it or take it into other direction, it's up to them. But later on, our conscience is our memory, brain memory. So it will bring in our mind everything that we have done in the past. So it's our turn really to do our best. So it says Peter, now, have you ever thought, Peter, of the sublime sacrifice of renunciation? Is really beautiful because the passage of the Jesus walking here and there with the disciples, the one that is studying his lessons for one day to teach on behalf of Jesus, he walking here and there, kilometers, hours and hours, always teachings without even make them be upset with something. When we upset ourselves with something, it's because we are doing this for us, not other people. We are seeing things outside us that are not good, or we are seeing things in other people that we don't like, and we bring it towards us. We should really see our shadows inside us. And Jesus said, shine your light. We must shine our light in every moment of our life. That the best thing that we can do for us is really understand what Jesus was saying. When Jesus also said, isn't the love of parents a permanent reminder of God's goodness? Isn't the affection of children a sweet perfume of the heart? I have given to my disciples the title of friends because it is the greatest of all. The gospel continued the master, since the apostle listened to him attentively, cannot condemn family ties, but places the unbreakable bond of God's parenthood above it. The kingdom of heaven, within the heart, must be the focus of our lives. Everything else is secondary. The worldly family is also subject to the imperative of such realities. So this beautiful passage brings to us more understanding regarding charity. Charity is not in doing good with something material for others. Charity is when you find someone, you meet someone in the street or on the bus stop, and you see the person in humble clothes, you see the person with beard without really show that he's a clean person, sometimes smell, but he's a creature of God. He's our brothers and sisters. If the person is suffering or have dementia or talking himself under recession, we should never judge. We should put ourselves in position to pray. Ask Jesus help, and he sent his helpers, our guardian angels, inverted commas, né? Guardian angels without wings, these spirits that are surrounding us, inspiring us to do our best to help others. So not judging other person, perhaps is a guardian angel that is beside us, testing us, and see how we are thinking, how the way that we are really understanding all the lessons of Jesus that we must understand, né, and put in practice. Né? How rare are those who can let go and live in silence for the love of the kingdom, waiting for the moment when God speaks to them. Jesus speaks to us through another human being. We are living this planet in this moment that we are, everyone are facing this COVID moment, but we are in Christmas time. We have Jesus in our heart. We are Christians and understanding that we must give importance to our family, to the family in the brotherhood, amplify our family. Our family is not only the blood ones, the ones that are surrounding us in our spirit center, in our communities, in our jobs, wherever we are a family. Because now I am far from you in the United States, but we are together, linked with this beautiful program that Kardec Radio is offering to us today, talking about Jesus. It's Christmas Day, it's Christmas time. We must understand the importance to know how we can really be a good person and do our best in order to participate and see how we can really give importance to our moment. Our treasure is where our heart is. Our silence sometimes is a treasure. Instead, talking against someone. See what we can do the best and follow Jesus, that is our master. And to finalize, there I say thank you, but to finalize this moment, I was preparing this small study with you, and I saw when Jesus said, the heart is a connection with the planet Earth, is a connection with my heart. And our planet in English is Earth, and our heart is heart, but have the same letters in the position differently, but we are connected. H is a bridge, the earth to our heart. So I think Daisy is what I should talk to you now. And thank you for this moment. And I'm here, still there.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Elsa. How beautiful. And we'll now invite our friend John to share even more with us, right, John?
Yes. Hello. Thank you, Daisy and Elsa. We are giving a great description of Christ in so many different ways as far as a friend is concerned. Today, we will bring you a reading from Our Daily Bread, and it's chapter 111, which I thought was very interesting. 111, a very special number. And it's entitled Win Friends. The book, Our Daily Bread, comes to us from the author Emmanuel, and through Chico Javier is the medium. And Emmanuel always starts off his messages with a quote from the New Testament, and then he goes on and reads, does his writing from there. And this one is from Luke chapter 16, verse 9. And it is, I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain or win friends for yourself. Then Emmanuel goes on to write, if the individual could succeed in discovering through human experience the profound past. And profound is very intense or very great. He would more rapidly reach the conclusion that all the opportunities that complement him in knowledge and health come from divine kindness, which would be God. And that most of the material resources that are at his disposition and desires proceed from injustice, which we will get back to. It is not up to us to particularize, but rather to deduce that the concepts of human rights originated from the divine influence, because as far as we are concerned, we are compelled to recognize our slow individual evolution from fierce selfishness towards a universal love, from the iniquity towards true justice. And iniquity is an immoral or grossly unfair behavior. Again, we will come back and comment. We will continue on with the reading. It will be enough to recall in this sense that almost all countries arose centuries ago through cruel conquest. With few exceptions, men have proved to be wasteful servants who, at the time of accountability, cannot show that they have been worthy of stewardship. It is for this reason that Jesus left us the parable of the unfaithful servant, inviting us into a sincere fraternity in order that through it we could find the path of rehabilitation. The Master encouraged us to win or gain friends, that is, to expand our circle of friends, through which we can feel more intensive protection in a spirit of cooperation and through intervening values. If our spiritual past is somber and painful, let us try to simplify it by acquiring true friends or friendships that will assist us through the harsh climb of redemption. If we do not today have a determined bond with the wealth of injustice, things that have obviously gone on in the past, we had it yesterday, and it becomes indispensable that we take advantage of this time for our individual readjustment before divine justice. Now, this passage is basically, in a nutshell, telling us to get on board and to start being a friend. And one of the things that I thought would help us here is we talked about a friend, and of course we've exemplified that by just having the story that Elsa read to us about Jesus at the marriage of Cana, and Deise did a really nice job of explaining what a real true friend is. I wanted to back up to the word acquaintance, and acquaintance is something that you hear a lot of, and you hear companion, which is another word. An acquaintance would be defined as someone you know very slightly, but you cannot put him in the category of either a companion or a friend. The next category would be a companion, and I'll jump back to acquaintance and say this would be a good example would be somebody you know at work, but you have no particular idea. You might talk to him at the coffee pot or so forth. And then there is the companion, and this is a person that gets a little closer to a friend. However, this is somebody that maybe you go to a movie with every once in a while. You might play a particular sport sometimes, and this is how I would define companion. So also, it joins you. The dictionary talks about joins you to see a movie, play a sport, maybe the club member, but again, not a close friend. And then Deise and Elsa did a really good job of explaining what a true friend is. These are the people that are around when we need them. There was a definition. Of course, we know that Christ is our true friend. We never have to worry about having another friend, but because we're on this material plane, we tend to like to have somebody in our lives. Many of us have spouses, which should become one of our best friends in life. We also have family members that we are given to many times reconcile with because of past issues. So I'll get back to the chapter reading that really encourages us to, especially that second paragraph, which the end of the first paragraph talks about that the material resources proceed from injustice. And I think what Emmanuel is talking about is, of course, that all too often we are greedy and selfish, and that we have taken advantage of individuals to make money. Then he goes on to talk about, as far as we are concerned, we are compelled to recognize our slow individual evolution from fierce selfishness towards a universal love. And here is, of course, Jesus as the example of the universal love. As we all know, especially if you read through that book, Good News, Bona Nova, you see chapter after chapter of Christ extending himself and giving you a wonderful demonstration of what universal love is. Elsa read in chapter 12. There is another chapter in there, chapter 23, which is in the Spiritus magazine, issue 41, and it's about Zacchaeus, however you would like to pronounce it. And this was a very rich man who actually got up in a tree when Jesus was coming by so that Jesus could see him. And Jesus saw him up in the tree and asked him to come down. And Zacchaeus was so excited that he invited Jesus and his whole entourage to his house. And without going into a lot of the details, he was just overwhelmed at how friendly Christ was to him, even indulging him in these mundane little statements that he would make without, again, judging him in any particular way. Zacchaeus was so happy that part of that story relates to the fact that he makes the statement he's going to give away half of his wealth because he's so wealthy, and that if there was anybody that ever got harmed, he was going to pay them back fourfold. So Jesus, within a short amount of time, has made this friend, and it's a great example of how to begin to make a friend. What we go on to see in the next paragraph, that we talk about how we squander we're wasteful servants, because at the time of accountability, we don't have anything to show for our stewardship. What have we done for other people? That second commandment, which talks about loving, the first commandment, loving God, the first major commandment, the second commandment, loving our neighbor as ourselves, how we would like to be treated. We'll go on to the next paragraph, which talks about Jesus left us with the parable of the unfaithful servant, inviting us into a sincere fraternity in order that we would go through and find the path of rehabilitation. And here is the encouragement. There is a parable, and it's entitled The Faithful or the Unfaithful Servant. And it's Luke chapter 12, verse 41 to 48. And basically what this says is that the master goes off on a little road trip, and he leaves the servant behind. And this one servant that he picks out is to make sure that the other servants are doing their duties, make sure that they're fed and well taken care of. Unfortunately, there is this one servant that decided that the master's really taken a long time coming back. I'm going to not share as much food with some of the servants that are working here, and basically mistreats them and mistreats the master's property. When the master returns without any particular announcement that he's coming back, not sending anybody ahead to let him know that he's coming back, and he finds the place in disarray, what does he do? The statement in the New Testament says he cut him to pieces, but basically there's a little footnote at the bottom that says that he basically threw him out. And this is an example of an unfaithful servant. And unfortunately, this is what happens to many of us in this particular lifetime. We do not spend our time as judiciously as we should. We might overeat. We might indulge too much in alcohol, gambling, drugs, what have you. And we waste our time. And Spiritist literature continually talks about us taking advantage of the time that we have on this particular earth plane. Because, as we all know, being here on the earth is a privilege. There is a long line of people in heaven waiting to come back so that they can redo what they had left undone in a previous life. The last paragraph in this statement: if our spiritual past is somber and painful, let us try to simplify it by, of course, gaining friends, true friendship, which will assist us in our climb. Because one of the things a friend does for us is they're a mirror, and they can reflect how we are acting, how we are treating ourselves, and how we are treating other people, especially within our family, and then of course outside of our family. And we use this as a gauge to decide that I am going to work on this. And of course, we have talked about this many, many times, of St. Augustine reminding us that each night before you go to bed, do that little examination of how you were. Do that little examination in your head of how you spent your day, listening to good and listening to not so good. And of course, obviously, deciding I'm going to work on one of those not so good things that I did. And this is how we raise ourselves up, because it's indispensable, that last sentence. And it becomes indispensable that we take advantage of this time of our own individual readjustment before divine justice, because rest assured, divine justice will take care of us if we haven't done as well as we possibly could with the time we've had here, the conditions we are given, and the friends that we have. I wanted to end with a couple of, well, it was a statement that I picked out of the book by Leon Denis, After Death. And it goes like this: you carry in yourself a sublime friend whom you don't know, because God resides inside each man. Although few know how to find him, he who sacrifices his desires and his works to the being from whom proceeds the principles of all things, and by whom the universe was formed, obtains perfection by means of this sacrifice, since he who finds in himself happiness, joy, as well as his own light, is one with God. And for your knowledge, the soul that has found God is released from rebirth and from death and from old age and from pain, and drinks the water of immortality. Dear friends, thank you for the opportunity to be with you, and I'll bring Deise back on, or she'll bring herself back on. Hi, Deise. Hi, Elsa.
Hi, John. Wow. Friends, beautiful. Um, I feel so hopeful, and I truly feel like the spirit of Christmas is truly profound, what you both brought to us. And I thought it was so interesting as Elsa showed that beautiful slide with the earth and the heart. And I never stopped to think about that, Elsa, how, the same words. And then you brought to us, John, also in the message talking about fraternity and about universal love. And, as we reflect about Jesus as our friend, we're living in times on earth that um, unfortunately, selfishness and pride is still so much current in our society, right? As we're trying to go through our days with our relationships, as John was bringing to us with our family members, with our friends, we sometimes go through these moments where we might feel um, that although we might be surrounded with people, we do feel lonely and we feel misunderstood, or we feel that, you know, people, what they do, their actions, their words, and hurt that friendship. So, for our reflection, as we bring Jesus as our true friend, how can we help us overcome those moments? Because as we go through our lives, we will encounter those moments. And how can Jesus, as our true friend, help us, give us the strength, the support, and through his teachings and what he is present in our lives every day, how can we truly overcome it and not only be that true friend, but then also feel it in our hearts that, you know, although we're misunderstood, we might feel lonely, like how we are never abandoned. Um, don't know, Elson and John, whoever wants to go first.
I'll let Elsa go first.
Yes. We have many opportunities never be alone, but our judgmental thoughts make sometimes people reject your presence. But that says, win friends. We are the ones that should build up this door, this tunnel or door towards our neighbors, families, or even there are people that 10 years they don't speak each other because something happened 10 years ago. They rejected themselves, no friends anymore. And one day, one died. Oh, he wants to message it instantaneously, wants some medium to bring a message or someone to say that want to say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No, we have to build up now while we are walking with Jesus. We have to do our friendship now, but friendship truly, no? Not the one that says in the Pão Nosso, the end of Pão Nosso, our daily bread, né? Says here the richness from the past. No, we are not built up friendship above money or interest. We have to interest of the heart. Heart means everything. Because there's a passage when the Mansão do Caminho, Mancha of the Way, when the Peters start built up this house, the first charity institution in the world, and appears the same lady there, ask help. No, no, here is the house of the Lord. You can't enter here because you are not a pure a woman of the night, blah, blah, blah. Next time, another man came. No, no, you can come here. It's a house of the Lord. You are a thief, blah, blah, blah. So he sent away 3 people that should be sheltered in this house. And Jesus, as in Peter was praying, oh, Jesus, I'm here, I built the house, but no one are coming for us to help. And Jesus said, I sent 3 people in needs for you to help Peter, Simon Peter. You did, you throw them away. So this is the way that we sometimes do with people around us because we have interest. Oh, if you have a good position, a good car, a good house, a good title, I would like to be your friend. No, the friendship you can build and you can win your brother and sister as a friends, staying with them in their position, never judge, go with them here and there, a poor house, a poor situation, stay there. This cure us from depression. When you put our heart, the purest of our heart, towards others, we don't be ill. Because illness is suffering. Suffering is from the body. The body is what we have here. If you want to follow Jesus' teachings, that is not only for Christians. My friend here is Muslim, is Shintoist and Muslim. They are studying our gospel. They love it because it's connected with their religions. They know that we are not a religion, but we are following Jesus' teachings. That is a psychology of life. The way that I see the gospel, I don't see the gospel as a religious book. I see the gospel that bring us calmness because there is a psychology of studies that we have in our hands. That's it.
I couldn't help, Elsa, when you were mentioning depression, and there was a statement that was given to me: be by being a true friend, we give others a reason to stay alive. And this is exactly what you're talking about, because and this it reminds me of the neighborhood, and we titled this "Gates to Fraternity." And you move into a neighborhood, and you maybe you're fortunate enough to have a house, and there's neighbors around you. And this one particular group I'm thinking about, they moved in. They're close to me because of I know them from the family, and I've visited quite often. When they've told this story a number of times. When they moved in, there was an older couple living next door, and they didn't have a fence between their yard because the driveway was separated between the houses. And the older couple became really close acquaintances and basically friends, because they shared dinner with them every so often. And when there was something they needed done that their sons or daughters couldn't make it over, then they did it for them. And as this friendship moved on, because they had to move out and go to assisted living, but there was 4 other families that lived around this family. And the interesting thing was that there was a gate between the neighbors that lived next to them on the one side, and then there was a neighbor directly behind them. And that house stayed empty for quite a while, but finally somebody bought it. And the neighbor that bought it came over one day and knocked on their front door and asked them, just wanted to let them know that they were going to put a fence in, so that it fenced in between their yard, which there already was a fence there, but it was an old decayed fence. And the husband, knowing how friendly his wife was, asked them if they wouldn't mind putting the gate in between their house and their house, and that we would pay. They would pay for the gate. And the gentleman, the husband, knew that the woman was shocked, but she went ahead and had it done. Comes later in life, both of the wives are quilters, and they become extremely close friends. And the family actually visits and interacts with their family, goes to some of the family get-togethers and so forth. They share dinner together. And the wife is just many times, when she has new people over and so forth, tells a story about her relationship with the wife. And then to end the story, there's another neighbor that lived on the other side of them, and that lady was always being helped by the husband and by the wife. And thank you, Sonny. Sonny's decided to come in and say hello to us. So that lady, when work was being done over at their house, helping them cut the grass or something like that, the husband suggested that they put a gate in. And so everybody surrounding them, all 5 people, either had no gate or a gate. And this is what I term this story, the gates to fraternity. And this is how we expand this friendship that Christ exemplified to us. Okay, ladies, that's enough of me talking.
So this book, Goodwill, this chapter that I read, when I read, I am with my friends and I love them all, I was touched. My heart was beating for in speed because I said, oh my God, Jesus said something ordinary in a feast, in a party, between people. Things that sometimes you go in the party if the party has something to give to you. But you never think, I go to the party, how can I give to the party something to help my friends there? Because we all expect something from others. We never put ourselves at the other service. Because what someone, if I do this for you, no, later on, what can I receive about that? No, it's so great when you say, I am with my friends. We are here between friends, and I love you all. And the one that is watching us today, be sure that when I'm saying that I love you all, I mean it. I love you all. I love someone that was in bus stop, in totally with the problems, the mental problems, they speak it out. My heart wants to hug this person, to put this person on my shoulder, to say, I see you, I see in you Jesus. I was seeing in my mind, of course, because we never know if you touch someone, if someone will shout or not. But my heart wants really to give a hug to someone in needs. I feel myself so blessed in life that the problems for me are not problems. I lesson. And the lesson of the gate that you're talking now touch us because I see so many places that there are a lot of fences, electrical fences, and even a boy died in one of the electrical fences in Londrina many years ago when my children was little ones because we want to protect the property that never put the property inside the coffin to take from this world. What we take from this world? The friendship, the beloved ones, the way that we live our life, not judging people, not putting people far from us, but be a good friend, be a good fellow. Né? Always try to help because the bridge from the love is helping each other. And God helped us through human beings.
Wow, thank you, Elsa and John, and for summarizing it so well to all of us. And has this we're thinking about right building bridges, these gates of fraternity and friendship, right? As we are talking here, when we don't expect anything in return. We don't expect people to understand us or to put the red carpet for us. When we go to places, as you're saying, right, Elsa, truly in a spirit of service, that's when we will be this true friendship. And I love this passage of the book Good News that Jesus says, the best title you can give to anyone is the title of a friend. So it is, friends are for, immortality, but it really is on us to see Jesus as this model, as this example to all of us, and we apply ourselves in our own lives. And I think we can end with this gates of fraternity and this understanding and love that you, John and Elsa, are bringing to all of us. So thank you so much. And I think we, in this beautiful day, as we're celebrating Christmas and in Jesus' presence and with us, let's end with a prayer because praying to Jesus, that's how we truly can bring him even closer to our hearts. So I'm going to put some music here to inspire us. dear Master Jesus, we feel in this beautiful day that we celebrate your birth here on planet Earth, your presence even closer to our hearts. As this true friend, our best friend, you came to exemplify how we can surpass our own pride and selfishness by being the friend who understands to be understood, who forgives to be forgiven, who accept others as they are in their evolutionary pathway, so that they can accept us with our shortcomings. When we give without waiting for anything in return, that is the true friendship on earth. Master Jesus, we thank you for also bringing us the Spiritism, this doctrine that consoles our hearts, that brings you closer to us, not as the Master on the cross and the Master who is suffering, but the Master who is loving, kind, fraternal. And we ask you, as we close this year of 2021, that we can build these gates of fraternship and friendship in our lives, that we can be your true examples of the friends in the lives of everyone that crosses our pathway. We thank you today and always for always being by our side. And we ask your permission to close this evening praying for all our brothers and sisters in humanity, that our planet can be showered with solidarity, fraternity, and love, and that true friendship can penetrate all of our hearts, today and always. And so be it. Thank you, friends. Thank you, John. Thank you, Elsa, for joining us. And we feel the presence of our Master here with all of us.
Thank you all. Thank you, Kardec Radio. 10 years working and helping us in the UK to transmit our programs. Thank you very much.
It was a joy, a sheer joy. Thank you, Daisy and Elsa. And I got to go let the dog out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The true friends, right? They are also
Yes,
like that.
the unconditional friend.
Oh, there we go. The unconditional friends.
Yes.
Oh, how beautiful.
He needs to go out. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye,
Take care.
friends.